I think really the reason I wanted to talk to you about it is because you're a firm runner who transitioned into running a staffing agency, and we're an accounting firm that transitioned into being a software company. And like before, when we were just an accounting firm, Jesse was fully adamant, like, we will not use offshore resources no matter what. Like, he was just so against it. And eventually he came around. But, I think there's a certain element of like, one, I think people are changing their minds on it. But I know from my perspective as a software company now, we have a lot of credibility because we are an accounting firm. So I'm curious, like, do you feel like you have an additional level of trust or credibility in the market because you were a firm owner previously?
For sure. In the beginning, I think that helped a ton too. It's like the old founder-led sales thing, right? To where I was doing every sales call, and that's how I was starting calls. And at the time too, when I started cloud accountant staffing, I was still running my firm.
Oh,
So it really resonated with people just talking through, like, I understood the pain points, I understood the headaches. Like, I was literally still running the firm. So that helped us a ton in the beginning. Now I'm less like, I'm not on sales calls anymore. You met Connor, who's running all those, but
nice.
I'll still like overhear him telling my story to people too.
So tell me your story. So you started a firm, like what was your firm like? And then how did you even get into the staffing world?
Um, well, so I actually bought a small firm. I was at a giant public accounting firm in Indianapolis, which is where I started my career. Then I bought a really small traditional legacy firm that was kind of in a very rural area in southern Indiana. And I went and got an SBA loan, bought the firm. It was about 400, a little over 400,000 in annual revenue,
Cool.
three-person firm. Um, did like, I mean, just all the stuff legacy firms do. They would do anything for their clients. But it was kind of heavy tax. Once I bought it, like our focus became client accounting services, ton of bookkeeping, payroll, bill pay, moved everybody to monthly recurring revenue using Ignition, which was a game changer for us. Really invested in like building a predictable sales machine for the firm, which was a huge unlock. And it was in that was in 2020, which I was doing cold. I just like was self-taught cold
Yeah.
email, which I know is obnoxious. And in 2020 though, it sort of worked.
Yeah.
I think some people say it sort of works now. We've given up on it. We've like there's better ways for us now to find clients, but at the time that worked really well, and it I was able to like make a key hire and then quickly transition into just being like the sales guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, cold email. I feel like I talked about it with Michael Lee at length on the podcast too. And it's one of those things that it definitely worked. Some people say it still works, but it doesn't. I also heard you shout out Ignition. I'm gonna actually email the anchor guys and tell them I'll bleep that out if they sponsor the episode. So thanks for giving me some leverage there. So how did you get into the staffing world though? Like, so you ran the firm, but then like, what was like, hey, maybe I should also do this other thing? Was it like a side hustle, or were you like, no, I'm going all in on it right away?
It was opportunistic, and in the beginning, yeah, it was just like, hey, this like it just felt like a good opportunity.
Yeah.
The more I kind of mixed it up with other firm owners and modern firm owners specifically. And if you think about the timeline too, like this is during the pandemic, and everyone had to all of a sudden, like, man, when I was at the big firm, working remote wasn't even like that wasn't an option. It wasn't even something that popped up in my head when I
Yeah.
was like working at a big firm. And even when I bought this traditional legacy firm too, like a ton of firms still, everybody was in the office. Then when COVID happened, everyone had to learn how to work from home. So I think we had a combination of a couple different things. One, everyone's learning to work from home. They realize like, hey, we got Zoom, we got Slack, we have Teams, like we can make this work, which opens their eyes up and the possibilities that we can hire talent anywhere in the world, and this can work for us. And then you combine that with just like, man, it's bleak out there trying to hire domestically. So there's no talent. And I just saw like, okay, like people that didn't used to hire offshore didn't even think they could hire offshore because they were a small firm and like didn't like it requires infrastructure. And it's like, no, actually, like you can do this and
Yeah.
it works. You're going to save money. And there's talented people all over the world, not just here in the US.
Very talented people. And I want to talk about like what you think people get wrong, but it was such a game changer for our firm because, we brand ourselves as this tech-enabled firm. We've built all of these apps that we're primarily marketing, but we still are an accounting firm. So for years, we ran a tech plus team structure. But we still had onshore resources in expensive tier one cities doing bank recs and AP. And it wasn't until, even with all of the technology, our margins were good. But once we swapped out that talent, and not necessarily a direct replace, but we were able to elevate some of those people to be relationship owners, to have a more meaningful and impactful role in the firm, and we use offshore resources who are highly qualified to do the bank recs and AP, it's completely changed the game for our firm. And our firm is the cash cow for our software side of the business. So like we just take all of the profit from the firm and dump it back into SaaS. So it's made my life awesome because my marketing budget and our engineering budget is way up with all the money we're saving by offshoring. But it took us so long to get there. Part of the reason was Jesse was really set on an in-office culture. And then I think once we realized there's really good remote talent in the US, it was like, well, we might as well also try remote talent outside of the US. But what do you think firm owners get wrong about offshore talent most often?
There's a couple different things. I think some people now like they turn to companies like us and they think that it's just plug and play and don't like if you're not running a good firm domestically, like in terms of team building, you're also not going to run a good firm by hiring offshore. Like it's not a lifeline if you don't know how to hire, if you don't have an onboard, like you don't have onboarding infrastructure, if you don't have SOPs, you don't have processes documented. Like you gotta know how to build a team and how to hire and onboard folks correctly. So I think I think that's one just thing that firm owners get wrong. And then also in the other direction, like people just misjudge the talent and they think it's only for entry level work. And of course, entry level work, like it's a great entry point because of, again, like it's very like there's a lot of repetitive stuff and bookkeeping and client accounting services that like, hey, like this is easy work and we're gonna save 50+% on the cost, like it's a no-brainer. But if you're if you're patient, if you're training and developing people, man, we used to turn some people who's we had like when I was building the team at my firm, we had a couple of people by the time I sold the firm that were client facing or managing
Yep.
relationships and that were training new hires too. So um, people again, like we're not just we're not born with bigger brains here in America. Like there's smart people all over the world.
100%. We've gotten to that point. We're probably about a year or so in, and we have people running relationships now. But I also think people who are willing to do the work, the lower level work, I don't even want to call it that. Like, I had a conversation with a company yesterday who was upset about their accounting firm who's all onshore because all they want to do is controller services and they think the bookkeeping and the AP work is beneath them. And there's a lack of attention to detail, which is affecting the relationship entirely. So, like, that work has to be done correctly, even though it's data entry. Like, you have to be able to provide that at a high level. And that also takes a certain skill set, someone who can pay attention, who doesn't have TikTok brain, who can like actually read stuff and enter it correctly. So I think like using that as a first point is good, but then people can definitely like graduate, let's say, to higher level stuff. The firms that you're working with now who are like bringing on offshore, like how have you seen it affect the onshore resources who were there already?
Yeah, well, you just mentioned like some firms come to us and they're worried about the not just like the perception from clients when they hire offshore, but the perception of their onshore team. And you kind of just mentioned a way that we often tell people to frame it is like, hey, a lot of like if your team thinks that this entry level bookkeeping work is beneath them, well, there you go. Like that's how you position this when you're talking to your team about why we're bringing on offshore resources, is to elevate you into tasks that like frankly you enjoy doing more.
Yep. Also,
And
that work is very, that is some of the easiest and fastest way. That was a terrible sentence. Some of the fastest way to learn a business is doing bank recs and AP because you're actually seeing where the money's coming and going from. And like I've talked to accountants who are like a, senior associate level, whatever, and you'll be like, what does this company do? How do they make their money? And it's like, they're like pharmaceutical something. And it's like, you don't even understand the ins and outs. Like, how can you even do the controller level work if you don't understand the nuts and bolts? So sorry to cut you off there, but like, that's one of the biggest things too, is I meet people who don't even know what their clients actually do because they're kind of just sitting back and looking at GL lines and QBO and they have no idea what's underneath there.
yeah, well, that resonates with me. When I started my career at a much larger firm, I was doing financial statement reviews and audits and tax returns. And I was in the weeds still, but like there wasn't any bookkeeping. So when I bought this small firm and it's like, yo, we do bookkeeping for clients. Like there was the people at the firm that I thought I was so much smarter than from an accounting and business, like
Right.
they knew bookkeeping better than I did. So like,
Right.
yeah,
You
I
come
get
from
that.
Big Four, you come from public, you have a CPA, and you're like, ooh, look at me, I'm smart. And then you're like, I actually have no idea. Like, because all I'm doing is looking at journal entries and being like, yeah, those are good, I think. But you
Yeah,
don't
that
actually
checks out.
know yeah, that looks like the work paper from last year. So that's gonna put my 22-year-old stamp of approval on this thing that's been booked by someone with 40 years of experience. It's crazy. So yeah, I think that's good. And also, it does, you're right. You were going with it's going to elevate them, which I do think it does. And I mean this with all due respect. It also weeds out people who were never going to elevate in the first place. Like,
Yep.
technology is coming, AI is coming, offshoring is here. And if you're not looking to level up your skill, it's either now or in a year or in 2 years where there's not going to be as many homes for you anymore until there eventually is no home. So to me, this is just giving you a head start on getting ahead. Hey, can you play in the big leagues? Can you offer control level services? Can you refine your relationship management skills? You better start now because if you don't, there's not going to be a data entry onshore resource role in 3 years that pays what you're getting paid right now. Full stop. Um,
Yeah. Well, and even if that's true, which I believe that's true as well, and we think that like AI, if you think that, one of the weaknesses in people in those positions is communication, like maybe their written communication, you don't want them emailing back and forth with clients. Like now people have the resources with AI to like really be strong there too. So I think without a doubt, technology and AI specifically, like you can run a bigger firm with less human capital. So it's going to displace jobs. I think in the short term, it's probably going to displace more onshore jobs than offshore. People think like entry level is just going to go away. Um, I, I see like probably more, and I know I'm incentivized or biased to say that, but like probably more job displacement domestically than offshore.
yeah, for sure. Do you, so like when we brought on these offshore resources, like in the beginning, we definitely churned through a few. And I think like some of the advice that we got from folks who were like suggesting that we use it or like helping us kind of figure out the pilot was you gotta like be really hands on in the beginning. And if it's not a fit, like swap it out. Like don't swap them out, go back to the resource, get somebody who is, who's going to be a better fit. But like you're really sourcing the talent. So like how do you assess the quality in the offshore hires? Like what makes you say this is a good person that I would recommend or place? How do you go about that evaluation process? Is that you doing it? Is the team doing it? Is it a combination?
No, it's not me. Like, well, from the top down, it's me, right? We decided. we run on EOS, and which I know you made fun of it scaling new heights, which was pretty funny. Uh,
I can't even remember all the things that I made fun of. So let's just, yeah. Sorry, EOS.
we had a one of our rocks in Q2 was, and let me back up. The big gigantic pain point for my business and people in this business is churn. Is what you just said.
Yep.
And so we decided to come at it from the angle of, hey, we want to say that nobody vets candidates better than us. So what does that look like then, so that we can say that and it actually be true? Because when I used to run my accounting firm, it was like, those interviews, it was about vibes in the interviews, right? Like, does this person, like, are we connecting well? Do they bring good energy and enthusiasm? Like, okay, you're hired. And some people still do that. Some people, it's the total opposite, and it's all about like their technical ability. But like, I've learned now that we've done a ton of this and placed hundreds of people. I mean, you just got to check every box. So
Yeah.
we vet the hell out of candidates now. And it starts with like like their application review, right? Somebody submits an application, it's inbound for us, and it's like checking on their experience. It's calling references. Then after that, they do a pre-screening call on a Zoom with us where we are highly focused on like making sure that they understand the expectations and what the job is. Like, hey, this is 40 hours a week. This is exclusivity with Cass and the firm that we place you at. You're not going to have multiple jobs. Um, like, we're going to get a background check. So it's setting all those expectations. Then we put them through our core assessments, which is skills assessments, personality, it's ethics. Um,
Nice.
then you get then they get an offer letter from us, and then ultimately too, this is new for us. We're going to see how this goes, because you can poke some holes in this, but we're calling this like our week zero orientation. So if you guys for your firm hired someone with us and they're going to start with you next week, like they're going to spend the entire week with us going through like orientation, but also we've set it up in a way to make sure people are they responsive? Like, how are they handling communication? Are they working the hours they've agreed to work, so that we can like kill a bad placement before it ever happens?
I love that.
Um, yeah. So we just want to like do everything we can to make sure when we hand off a staff to you, you got somebody who's a serious professional.
There's a lot there that I want to go over, but I love that week zero concept. Like one of the things that I've done with Accruer and with our apps is made it a 60-day money back guarantee. I've broke no minimum. Like I break down every barrier so that you have to say, like, there's no reason to say no to try it. And then we treat every new customer as like an infant. Like you cannot drop them in the first month. You have to make sure, I mean, obviously you can't drop an infant for longer than a month, but like you have to treat every new customer like a newborn baby. Like, did they get signed up correctly? Is the password there? Did they run it? Like, do they know we're available? Do they know how to get support? And if they're not happy, they get their money back because I think a lot of accounting firm owners and runners are very risk adverse. Oh, like what is this going to be? How much money am I going to be in for? What's the ROI going to be? And I think the idea of like trust us, there will be there, and if not, like you don't have to pay anything, is it makes it so hard for them to say no. So I love the week zero thing. I'm curious, like how much do you value like attention to detail? Like when you get that application, are you guys like very meticulous about resume? Because I'll tell you, when people apply here, if their resume is ugly or has typos or formatting issues, it's a hard stop no. Like to me, immediately, like that's the first thing you're showing me. And if it doesn't look great, I'm not even reading it. Like you're out. Do you guys have really, really strict rules like that, or do you kind of have some tolerance and then get more strict through like the actual assessment, the core assessment that you called it?
Yeah, for sure. We have a bunch of different things in place like that. If you have typos on your resume, you're out. We also have like internal like deadlines that we don't even tell people about too. So if you apply and we put the ball in your court to do something, it depends which task it is, but they each have a deadline that we hold to ourselves internally. If you haven't gotten back to us by then, it's like, all right, man, like you're not like, you don't have any bias for action. Like we don't want we don't want you to end up with one of our clients and burn our relationship. So yeah, there's all kinds of things like that. We have them record Loom videos and like this is if people show up on a Loom video and it's like, man, they're wearing like you're wearing a tank top and like
You were gonna say
like
t-shirt, but then I'm wearing a t-shirt, so you switched it. I saw that. I saw you
no
look
no
at
no.
me and go, if they're like wearing a dumbass tie-dye shirt
They have a
and a
tie-dye
hat,
shirt.
no, yeah. I love the
No,
loom.
yeah, and then too, like at some point in the process too, you have to show like you have to kind of like we're not this isn't we're not too intrusive. Like you have to show us that you have an office set
Yeah,
up that's like a place you can work and be productive too, because we've learned that not everybody has that. And like again, we're just trying to do everything we can to protect our clients. You mentioned something a second ago too. You mentioned your guarantee. Uh, Not to be an EOS weirdo and come back to this, but like when we run on EOS, we're supposed to have a guarantee. So one thing we've been kicking around is like, all right, now that we feel like we can say nobody vets candidates better than us, like we feel really great about the people we're sticking into firms. So we're trying to figure out this thing of, hey, like we've built an onboarding playbook for you. We've built a weekly scorecard for you that we can give you. If you can prove that you're using those things and that you've set up one-on-ones or you show us your own like stuff that you're using for the hire, then we'll do a fully money back guaranteed if it doesn't work out in 90 days. So it's like, all right, and we feel like nobody else is doing that in our
no.
business. So, but if we say, hey, we're vetting the hell out of these candidates and you're actually putting infrastructure in place to properly hire someone, then like we feel solid about doing something like that. We're trying to figure that out.
And I think that comes back to being an accounting firm owner historically, right? And like coming from the accounting world. The idea of like templatizing how you like manage a candidate, like that is the exact language that accountants speak. And that's why I find your business so interesting because like I said in the beginning, it's similar to ours. Like we know how prospects and customers think because we were them. So we can put ourselves in our shoes and not like Google some B2B SaaS playbook, B2B customer support playbook. We're like, that's a lot of that stuff is garbage and it's not going to resonate with this specific audience. But you know, and we know what will. So I think that's what sets you guys apart and what sets us apart is like our DNA is an accounting firm. We are accountants. So when we're offering you something, trust us more than someone who doesn't have the same experience, who hasn't walked a mile or 10,000 miles in your shoes before that. Um, Question for you, last question, like where do you think the modern accounting firm is going? Like you kind of mentioned it before about job displacement, but like let's fast forward 3 years, right? Like what do you think the mix of onshore, offshore, and technology is in an accounting firm? I have my answer, but I want to hear yours.
Yeah, I think that firms that are look there's going to be a ton of leverage from tech again to support more clients with less humans on the payroll. So I think the firms that are positioned to win are the firms who are embracing modern technology that are like already already doing things, already using like again, I know a bunch of firms that have been using Zapier now for years and I like and I think those firms were best positioned to win over the last like 5 or 6 years. And so people who continue to embrace technology, people who do embrace offshore, because again, there's going to be a ton of cost savings there. And like I don't think the labor market in the US is going to get any better for accountants when you look forward. And again, when I say best position to win, people like people have different definitions of what winning looks like.
Of
From like when I
course.
was running my firm, it was I want to make like what's making the most money with the least effort, like without, working working overnight, like working all the time. So that's not everybody's definition of what winning looks like, but I think those are the firms that are they're going to be best positioned.
I agree. I think like the three skills that won't go away, relationship management, like someone who can talk to people, who can translate things into a human context. Hey, here's what the financials say, but like here's what it actually means for you. Like that part is going to be invaluable. I think people who understand software, right? Not just like, ooh, I love tech, but actually understand fundamentally how it works because a lot of accounting firm owners struggle with this idea of giving up control. They're so used to this historical, I prepare, you review, then we post process. Whereas we move towards a much faster and technology supported and offshore supported process, you're going to have to put controls into different places, and understanding IT application controls is going to be more important than ever. How do I know? How can I verify the system is right without reperforming it, which people still do? It literally makes me want to throw up watching people like redo stuff on the side to check it. It's like, that's crazy. But then also being detail oriented. And that I know we talked about earlier, but like that to me is some of the best work, or some of the workers that we found offshore have such amazing attention to detail, which is so important because when you give up control to automation, it's easier to go, well, AI is going to reconcile it. No, you still need that very critical human eye who is willing to get in the weeds and get their hands dirty and make sure everything's right. And like, I don't see bank recs and AP being fully automated. Maybe this comes back to bite me. It won't be the dumbest thing I've ever said, but I think that's a fool's errand. I like don't see that getting fully automated. So again, the detail oriented part and firms that mix the right amount of on, off, and tech, I think they're going to win, right? Finding that
Yeah.
balance and figuring out the exact amount of control to put in each group is the only way to kind of make your firm actually modern.
Yeah. Firm owners should just do everything Jason Stats tells you to do. That's
There
what
you
I
go.
tell people all the time,
That's good. I'm just gonna clip this, put it on social. Maybe he'll repost it.
for
This will
sure.
be the only episode that actually gets a good amount of views. No, that's awesome. Um,
Love Jason Stats. Should we say more stuff about him?
I have kissed his ass on so many podcasts. There's probably he's probably sick of me saying nice stuff about him. Um, where can they find you? People want to see what you guys are doing, get in touch with you, get in touch with the team.
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm not, I know I should be more active on social. I'm not. We did hire a new kid, Tom, that you've been seeing his stuff, and
Yeah,
he's following the Tom Z playbook and
he's
having some fun on LinkedIn. And his name's Caleb Johnson. Go check out Caleb Johnson's stuff on LinkedIn. Um,
that's so nice because I don't think Jesse's ever plugged me. So that's the mark of a real leader right there is pointing
yeah,
to the guy. Caleb does a great job, so I'm glad you gave him a shout out.
dude, we like when you post, it gets read out loud in our office, and we either laugh, it's either laugh out loud or maybe like just a smile and no laugh.
Yeah.
And then some of them in my head, I'm like, I see what he was trying. I'm not gonna laugh or smile. I see what he's trying to do there. But
Sometimes you bomb. I'm pulling back. I'm only gonna post now if I love it. I'm not gonna post regularly anymore. The algorithm sucks anyway today or the last few weeks, so I'm done
yeah,
until
I'm
they
just seeing
stop the
I'm
time
just seeing all
travel
your old
shit.
stuff.
Yeah, until they stop the time travel shit, I'm only posting good stuff when I feel like it. Goodbye.